Welcome back to this week's episode of the MTG Militia podcast. Today, I'm doing the intro today because I'm interviewing Hunter on his Magic history, I guess is a good way to put it. But first off, what we have here today is our Spotlight card of the week, which is Dog Umbra. I thought this was going to be a good highlight because there's not many pacifisms in the format that do more than a pacifism, but this one is nice in the fact that it is flash, so it can be played at instant speed, and also has a different modal ability, which is to protect your own creature, and I think that puts it above most other pacifisms in the format.
Yeah, it's a really good flexible. I think we've talked about Heliod's program on this channel before. It might have even been a Spotlight. It's a really good flexible Heliod's Pilgrim target. It's like this and Reprobation and Mono White that do kind of different things other than pacify stuff. Because you're right, a lot of the pacifisms are just pacifisms that don't really do anything.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
there's
an
one
exile
that,
tag on it.
Yeah, that have weird pay 2 and a white to exile it, but I don't know why you would ever do that. I guess it's useful in response to they go to blow up the enchantment and you just exile the creature instead, or they go to kill the creature or whatever. It has its uses, right? There's one that I think does the exile thing and then makes you a blood, I think.
Huh. Interesting.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Dog Umbra's the first one you go to if you want to play a pacifism that isn't an O-ring.
Yep.
Especially if you're on Heliod's Pilgrim. The two just go really, really well together. Yeah. The other one I've been on is Bound in Silence, but that's because I've been on the Rebel package, which makes Bound in Silence playable. Yeah. But you don't have to put bad Rebels to make Dog Umbra good.
Yeah, because being able to be oh, you played a haster, I can still get rid of it is very nice. Mm-hmm. Or get rid of it in air quotes. Yeah. Well, and especially because if you had a 2-mana instant speed spell, you couldn't search that up with your Heliod's program, like you said, so it's an instant you can tutor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very unique, and I like that.
Okay. Yeah, on 5 mana you can put the Heliod into play, put Dog Umbra into your hand, pass, and then you're leaving up Dog Umbra.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Okie dokie. And then, you ready for me to start the questions?
Yep.
Okay. So the first one is, let's see. When did you first start playing Magic the Gathering?
And I'm gonna have to count backwards here.
Yeah, and also
I graduated high school. I graduated high school in 2015. 2011.
Okay. Yeah, so that actually would have been about the same time as me then, which is real cool.
Yeah, 2011, maybe 2010. It depends on when in the school year I got into it. I think probably closer to 2010.
Yeah, what's the first set you remember?
Return to Ravnica, I want to say.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. And any notable cards or anything you remember playing then?
Yeah, I have an affinity for blue cards because when I got into Magic, everybody kind of jumped on the we hate blue cards plan. So I remember I was part of a Magic club in high school, and they would literally just give me blue rares. Because they were like, I'm not going to play with them. And we didn't really have a concept of Magic cards being worth money at the time.
Yeah.
So they got scammed 100%. Looking back on it, they 1,000% got I was given I think hollowed fountains just because they didn't want them because I don't play blue. Here you go. It's what the okay, and stuff like that. But the first card I remember playing with was I think M11.
Okay.
That was the first set that I actually got to get my hands on. Although I started where a lot of people started with. My friend had a dual deck.
Oh, which one?
For the life of me, I can't tell you which dual deck it was.
Maybe Koth versus Venser then, or one.
Oh, it was 100% that. It was 100% Koth versus Venser.
Yeah, Venser versus Koth is the templating. Sorry.
Yeah, because I still have the Koth in my collection somewhere. And the Venser.
Awesome.
And that's how I learned to play Magic. I just busted out a dual deck and was let's play.
Also,
it was 2010, 2011 era.
As a fun note, did you know Koth stands for Koth of the Hammer?
Yeah, KOTH.
Yeah.
Spells Koth, which stands for KOTH, which spells Koth, which stands for, Logic Loop or whatever. But yeah, I think it was around 2010.
Okay. And then were you guys like playing any formats, or did you guys just like play kitchen table?
So we played standard because, again, I started playing with a Magic club.
Yeah.
So it was run by an adult who knew how Magic worked. So the formats we played in that Magic room were like tier 11 standard decks. Like they were just terrible. Um, but it just happened to be the card pool he could provide was the bulk rares and the commons and the uncommons from just the most recent sets.
Yeah.
So we had like it was like bulk bin standard really is what we played, which was a lot of fun. But it let us. His opinion was it exposed us to like what a format was, and we are all playing on the same power level.
Yeah.
So we had like bulk bin standard leagues essentially, where you got points for winning every game you played at the Magic Club, and then you could turn in those points for prizes and things like that. Like,
Huh.
it was like candy or like a pack of the latest set.
That seems much better
Um,
than candy.
yeah, well, the candy was like one of the lower ones of
Yeah.
like, hey, you tried, here's a Snickers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the higher ups were like, you could get up. I think it was Loading Ready Run where they had like at the end of like this competition, you got to put your hand into like this bulk rare box, and whatever bulk rare you pulled out, you got to keep. He had stuff like that. That box actually had some older cards in it, and some like foils and stuff, but nothing too expensive to give a kid because you don't want to give like a child $100 card, but they're like
Yeah.
shiny and cool and stuff like that. So things like that. Very, 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 very quickly, because the Magic Knight had two different leagues that all accumulated for points. One of those was the Standard League, and like the top 6 people in that got to do whatever. And then the other one was Draft. They had draft leagues going on basically in the Magic Club. And it wasn't like one night was a draft, one night was a sealed. The Magic Club was like huge. So you could actually have a standard event fire and a draft event
Damn.
fire within the same Magic Club. Oh yeah, it was very, 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 very big. Um, Magic just hit us in my area really, really hard, and nobody was like religious enough to get that feedback. My school was just pretty chill about it.
Yeah, and like
Um,
for the most part, like the Satanic Panic stuff had like kind of cold by like 2010s. Like there was still
mhm.
like radicals, but like the
Yeah,
general
yeah.
consensus was like D&D is just a game and stuff like that.
That's the thing. A lot of the people in the community kind of grew up with it. So they were like, "Oh, Magic's a game. I know it's a game. They're not, whatever." So yeah, no, that was big, and that's what started my love for like limited. We would do drafts sometimes, and then when we couldn't find the like 7th or 8th person, we would play sealeds or stuff like that. Or again, we all had a bulk standard deck, so we would
Yeah.
just play with the standard people. So
Okie dokie. And
yeah.
then I guess like moving on from that, uh, what's your favorite or least favorite card, or both?
My favorite card of all time is Mystical Teachings, and I make no effort hiding that. Um, it's not even close, right? Like I have two that are relatively close, but after that, it bottoms out. Like I don't care. My first favorite card is Mystical Teaching, and my second favorite card is Cruel Ultimatum. Those are the two cards that I love. I remember as a kid when we weren't playing like bulk standard. That and like some people who played the draft had better cards, obviously, but like most of we weren't playing tier 1 standard. When I say standard, that's why I say bulk bin standard. Like think of like the first F&M deck you ever make, that type of standard.
Well, my first FNF I
um
played with the Professor deck, but that's just because how I found about
well,
FNMs. But that's
that's true. Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
gets the things
we didn't.
uniquely.
I don't remember. Yeah, but it's definitely Mystical Teachings, and then and then Cruel Ultimatum. Those are my two favorite cards that really embody who I am as a Magic player. Least favorite. That's a great question. I grew up in the camp of really not liking red-green decks a lot. I really had a tiff with Experiment One. Really didn't like that card growing up.
Damn.
Well, it was just like I can't counter it because it comes down to turn 1, and then by the time I get to my crappy removal spells, it's too big.
You needed mental misstep.
Yeah, that was a thing. So I would say it's Experiment One or any green creature with the words "can't be countered" on it.
Okay.
Those gave young Hunter like Loxodon Smiter was the exact type of card that I did not like as a kid.
I imagine Mistcutter Hydra would have been real bad for you.
Mistcutter Hydra wasn't great. Luckily, that one's a rare.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people had it.
Oh man, I felt like there were so many around my high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Yeah, this is like, I think this is before Theros even came out. So
yeah, that would have been closer to like 2015, like or around there. A little earlier than that.
Yes,
Because
maybe
2015 was the core set afterwards.
Yeah, I would say green creatures that couldn't be countered and wouldn't die to my removal spells. Anything that fits in that would be my least favorite cards.
Okay, cool. And then
Also Nadu, because that is the most design mistake card I think I've ever seen in my life. That's a different point.
And then I guess I'll continue. This is, do you have a favorite format?
I do. I really, really like limited formats of any kind. Draft, sealed, I'm in. Whatever you need. You know, there's the loading ready run joke about the 8th man who just jumps into pods and is your hero and he'll always be there. Consider me your 8th for any draft format ever. I will say I liked I didn't really like drafting when it was big set, small set, that type of thing, or like 3 of a small set. The first time I remember this applying to me was actually Theros block, where sometimes at the Magic Club they would they play triple Born of the Gods.
Oh yeah, because they were cheaper.
Because they were cheaper, and then the teacher didn't have to buy could ration out the Theros packs a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I did not enjoy triple Born of the Gods as a format. I loved full block Theros. Full block Theros is probably my favorite draft format of all time. I really, really, really liked full block Theros. Because that set rewarded you for knowing like what combat tricks to play around. And it felt like for the first time my skill level was getting better, and I could actually win games based on like combat instead of whatever dumb blue-black win condition I was trying to play.
That's honestly something I do
the
love
unthinkable
about
order of the crap.
It's just like everybody has to get in there and fight. It's not like, weird tempo-y stuff or like
Yeah. It was
cons.
Jim Davis who I think said, if you want to get better at nuts and bolt magic, go play limited.
Yeah, like it makes you also like have to actually like do card evaluation rather than just seeing what somebody says is the best.
You can't just go online and build a deck. You can go online and look at set reviews, but
yeah, but then you might not open any of the cards they pointed out.
Yeah, it's true. You can't just pay $50 to have like a tier 1 deck.
Yeah, and like some people would.
I would say limited is my favorite format.
Yeah,
I don't know about least favorite format. I would probably say like Legacy or Vintage, just because I know very little about those formats, and those formats seem very, very difficult to get into. Although all the Legacy and Vintage players I've met are like teddy bears. They are so nice at like, if you want to talk, but they're also like, they have this mentality of like they're hyper focused on it. So anytime you want to talk about it, they're like, yeah, let's talk for 6 hours. What do you want to do? I'm here, But I would say Legacy and Vintage are probably like my least favorites, just because I know very little about them and they seem intimidating.
Yeah, I also just wouldn't want to play into like Quad Force, and nowadays 8 Force. Like you probably don't run all 8, but like, damn.
Yeah, Legacy players overall seem like very, very nice people. I just think their format is very intimidating to players who aren't like. I would say you and I are probably very enfranchised Magic players on the whole.
Oh yeah,
but not that enfranchised.
Yeah, it takes a special breed to play like Legacy and all that, and it's like
Mhm.
a
But again,
generation
nice
before
people,
us a lot of the
wonderful
time.
people.
Okay, and then sorry, the next two questions that I have listed here are your favorite color, what type of decks you like to play. And I think we can kind of guess that based on the channel stuff, which and what
Blue
we've said.
control decks.
Yeah.
Although in recent memory, I've definitely pivoted to like a black green, like an Obzon shard, um, Obzon wedge. Sorry, like mid range stuff. You know, my love for counterspell runs deep, but I don't know. There's something about passing the turn and like slamming a siege rhino and stuff like that that just like tickles my heartstrings in a weird moment. But it's definitely like blue, like Sultai is like my ideal deck because you get the counter magic and you also get the black green mid range removal spell, stuff like that.
Okay. Nice. And then I guess on that similar vein, what guild do you like most identify with out of that?
Demir. I'm a Demir boy through
Yeah.
and through and through and through. But
Guess
the
I.
thing about being a limited player is you don't get to do that, right? So as a kid, I didn't like over rely. I almost like the learning curve was less steep when I had to go into a format, because I was, well versed in like, all right, red aggro decks want to do this, green aggro decks want to do that. Like I like the mid range decks want to do this, because as a limited player, or as a good limited player, I should say, you can't just force something every single draft that you do. Um, so and oftentimes it's incorrect to do so.
Mhm.
I had two people who taught me how to play Magic. The first person introduced me to bulk standard, and then I quickly found out he knew nothing about Magic, so I just ignored him. And the second person, well, he had a card called Trained Caracal, which was a 1 white mana 1/1 with lifelink. And the way he explained it was, all right, so the way that lifelink works is as long as you have two creatures, they both look at each other, and when either one of them hit, you gain life.
What?
Yeah, he just like confused Soul Bond with lifelink for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, learned very quickly he doesn't know how to play Magic. And then the second guy was a big limited person who really threw me through the ropes, of being like a very good limited player, like very good, and would I would record my drafts on my well, he would record my drafts because I didn't have a phone with a camera on it at the time, and would play them back the next Magic night, between rounds, and would like explain like, okay, I think you should have taken this. Why did you take this? I want to hear about this. You're drafting with your blinders on again. Like would kind of very helpfully, but very in a way that built my confidence. Would go over those types of things, and it was very very nice of him to take time to do that, because he didn't need to.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't remember what the question was, but I hope that answered it.
I think it was what was your favorite guild, or like what guild
Oh
do you
yeah,
ascribe to?
so I meant to say that as like I'm a Demir person. If I can choose to play a two-color deck, I will play the blue-black deck. But again, in limited, you don't get to make that decision.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I played Selesnya, I played Boros, I played Golgari. I
Yeah.
played what was open and passed to me.
And do you believe that like on like a spiritual level too, like the values of Demir too, or like is there a guild like you
No, I'm
like the
not a
values of
horrible
more?
person.
Well, they're not just horrible people. It's like secrecy and information. Like that can be used for good.
No, I'm more of like the if I had to pick a guild like of who I am as a person, there's some of that of like all this kind of stuff. But I think that I'm much more of a Quandrix person from Strixhaven. I think that's the two color that really fits my persona of like this idea of mathematics and logic and all that kind of stuff really dictating what my personality type is. So I'm much more of a Quandrix person than a Demir person.
Okay. And then let's see. Sorry. Oh, okay. Cool. And then do you have any like mechanics that you like really heavily remember, like have like a fondness for?
I really liked it never came up and it was terrible and it didn't do anything. But I really liked Cypher as a kid.
Okay.
This like weird type of thing where like it's equipment, but it's an instant or sorcery type thing, and just the design space around that. I wish we went back to that, because I think there's a lot more you can do with that mechanic. That was really really cool. I liked extort. I still like extort.
Yeah.
As a person, just in general, like this death by 1,000 cuts, I think was really really good. Trying to think of like more modern mechanics. I like mobilize. Mobilize from Tarkir Dragonstorm was pretty cool. Harmonize was decent.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like other like kind of weird off the wall mechanics that I went for as a kid. I think Cipher fits that bill. As a kid, I also liked reusing stuff from the graveyard, so like Flashback and Unearth were really really cool. I do have a couple of least favorite mechanics just in general. I really don't like Dash. In general, I just don't. It just never. It didn't grab me in the ways that it did everybody else. I'll say it too. I'm really not a fan of like Morph in any iteration that they've ever done. You know, Morph for Manifest or Manifest Dread or Mega Morph. It's just it never grabbed me as like a thing that was cool. I didn't really go for any of that.
Oh man, I like those mechanics, but that's the diversity of play.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad mechanics. It's just they didn't graft me the same way that they did everybody else. It felt like.
Yeah. Okay. And then, yeah.
We got time for one more, I think.
Yep. And this should be a good one to like end on, which is, do you have any fun Magic the Gathering stories?
Yes, I have several.
Okay.
So I'll tell my top three. So I was at a Magic tournament, and someone called the judge. This was not in my game, but it was next to me. It was a pre-release, and there was a card with prowess on the battlefield, and this guy I don't remember what the board state was, but it was like assume it's a 1/3 with prowess or something. And this guy goes to attack, and the guy blocks. And person A with a prowess creature cast a spell. Person B countered the spell and said, "I counted your prowess trigger too."
No.
Which is not so for the viewers at home. Not how that works. Prowess does not trigger upon the resolution of a spell. It doesn't care if that spell resolves or whatever. It just like, did you cast a spell? Y/N. Okay, I'm doing a thing. And the judge came over, and I was like, all right, pretty easy judge call and whatever. I think I was playing you at the time, or one of our friends, because I think I remember looking at my opponent and going, that's not how that works. And the judge is like, oh yeah, no, the spell needs to resolve for the prowess trigger to resolve.
No.
And then I had to go over and be like, no, it's not even remotely how prowess works. So I outsmarted the judge. That was funny.
Yeah, like to be fair, it would have been like the judge at the store, which would just be an employee who's not fully trained generally.
Yeah, which can be rough. That's not a. I don't know. Magic's a very complicated game where you can get rules wrong sometimes, but that seems very basic. Well, actually, there was another game where it was the only game of Commander I've ever played. For those of you who don't know, I hate Commander with a passion. And we were playing a game, and I board wiped or something. Well, I built a deck, and it was the 6-mana Rakdos that came out in Guilds of Ravnica or Ravnica Allegiance.
Yeah, people must have hated that because everybody hates Rakdos decks.
Yeah, the 6-mana one that flips for every creature in play. And then if it hits heads or whatever, it just kills it. So it's like a 6-mana board wipe. And I'm like, I'm going to play board wipe tribal. So that's what I did. My deck was entirely board wipes. It was like Pestilence and Trickery and, Fiery Cannonade and Damnation and all this kind of stuff. That's literally all my deck did. And I board wiped the third time. I'm not winning this game. It should be clear I am miles behind. Because I have nothing in my deck that, I can't do anything. And then the person called me a slur, and then I conceded and went home.
God damn.
Commander players in general are the reason why I hate Commander sometimes. And what was the third thing? The third Magic story I have is I was at a draft. We were playing. It must have been Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar. Which had the expeditions?
That would be Battle for Zendikar.
Okay, we're playing Battle for relevant to the story. Battle for Zendikar, and in my opening pack, I have an expedition, in my hand, and like a bomb green card. My own personal Tarmogate, and I'm a college student at this point, so I take the expedition, and I pass this bomb green card to a buddy of mine, and the buddy looks at me, and he looks back at the pack, and he looks at me, and she gives me like this weird glare, not like out of hatred or anything like that, but just out of like raw confusion. You know, I think it was it Watery Grave? Hold on, I have to look up the expeditions. I didn't get too attached. I sold it that night. So I don't even. It might have been like a Flooded Strand.
Yeah, which is much luckier than the expedition style thing that I opened. Which the only one that I've opened was a Solidarity out of Amonkhet.
It was 100% the Flooded Strand, I think.
That's a good one.
Remember, because I immediately just turned around and sold it. So, sold it to the store. And he looked at me weird, and then after the draft, he looks at me and goes, what was going on?" I was like, "Well, I opened this," and he goes, "Wow," like that. Like 7 explanation points, which was funny. And then bonus story, that involves you and me.
Oh,
it was a Dominaria pre-release, I believe, and it was I opened the 4-mana Karn. And after the night,
this.
And at the end of the night, I think I sold it to you.
Yeah.
For a price or whatever. And people who watch the channel probably know that I flick my cards religiously. I'm definitely of the Brian Kibler camp of I just need to be doing something with my hands, so I just can't stop doing it. So I sold the card to Morgan, and then Morgan went and... Were you just talking to the card store owner? Or...
Yeah, I was just talking to a vendor at like an event I went to like the weekend after, and I was like, "Hey, could you just take a look at this card to see what condition it's in?" And they were like, immediately, "Yeah, this card's heavily played after being touched by Hunter once."
For like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I drew it quite a lot, but yeah, no, it was like... the back was... It wasn't like there was a giant crease in it or whatever. I think it was
just a gradual bend that you couldn't notice until after you pulled it out of the sleeve.
Yeah, it's definitely a binder copy. But I thought that was really, really funny. Like 2 days afterwards, you're like, "Oh, this is damaged." Like,
yeah.
Felt bad.
Yeah, it was still perfectly sleeve playable, and I played it in my my Bluetron deck for like a year or two at least after that.
Yeah. I'm glad he got to see a good home.
Yeah.
It's pretty good in the pre-release deck too.
Yeah, because for people at home, this is not the 4-mana Karn you think of normally. It's the air quotes bad 4-mana Karn. No, not the second bad 4-mana Karn. The first bad 4-mana Karn.
Yeah, it like upticked to Fact or Fiction Anticipate, right? Where you showed your opponent 2 cards and they gave you 1 card and the other one was exiled with a silver counter on it.
Yeah, let's
and then it had 2 minuses, I think.
Karn, Scion of Urza, which I love this card.
Yeah. Am I right? Hold on, let me check.
Yeah.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, it's not Karn Living Legacy. It's Karn, Scion of Urza. And it's not the good one, Karn the Great Creator.
Yeah, it exiled the top 2. An opponent chooses one of them, put it into your hand, and then you exile the other with a silver counter. And it had a -2 where you could put a card you own with a silver counter on from exile into your hand. and then -2 to make a Construct.
Yeah, which was.
I think this is where we get the name Construct.
It is.
Not?
Yeah, this was the first card that made like constructs like this on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else probably thinks about why they're called constructs sometimes.
Probably not. It's,
Okay. Well, that was nice.
I think I won that pre-release, by the way.
Because probably.
I put Karn in my deck, and I did draw Karn.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, like, those pre-releases weren't, like, only one person goes home undefeated, so, like, yeah.
Yeah, basically the way that those worked, because I think that was at Three Brothers. No, it would have been
that one would have been a monster, because if I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, hey, now you guys know some shops we played at. But it's all good.
Yeah. It's fine.
But yeah, it would just be like, you show up at midnight, because this was still the time of midnight pre-release. You do 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And you get a pack per win.
Yeah.
And it was always just kind of quaint.
Mm-hmm. Way more focused on vibes than it was like the players brought the competitive atmosphere, not the reward structure.
Yeah. And there was always the kind of thing is if you play against somebody who's newer, like, talk to them, like, about their deck and, like, don't be a dick about it or anything. Like, just try to help, like, people learn and foster a good atmosphere.
I think it was the March of the Machines pre-release that we played at a different store where I played against a guy who got mana screwed twice, and I was like, that sucks. And then in round 2, I played against a 12-year-old. So I think it was one of our buddies came up to me and went, how's your Magic night doing? And I was like, well, as it turns out, I can beat opponents that do nothing, and I can beat opponents who do nothing and are 12. These are the two situations that I can apparently win games of Magic, is when my opponent casts no spells or is 12.
Okay, and then we're at about our time, so do you want to do the outro today?
Yeah, so just things coming up in the week. Next week, trying to keep things in my head. I believe this upcoming week, last week you just saw the beginning of our sealed progression series. I don't know how you have taken it, how you guys like that, but that is a thing we're going to be doing because I've had a lot of fun just in deck building. And Morgan seems to have some fun with that too. And this week should be the free-for-all thing that we're doing, which is no rules, no regulations. The only rule is I can't bring Ferja, Morgan can't bring Borrelios.
Yeah.
Because we want to try to get some new or old blood, and we have to change the deck in some meaningful way.
It's still Militia, but just no rules about like what commanders are bringing or like any theming.
Yeah. I'm bringing...
Asterisk.
Yeah. Do you know what you're bringing yet?
Not yet. I have not thought about it.
We won't spoil anything, but
yeah.
I'm bringing an oldie but a goodie that I think I built wrong, so I built a different version of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe that's what's coming up this week. If I can keep dates, we're pre-filming some stuff, so it's hard to keep dates in my head, but I believe that should be what you'll be getting: a deck tech on Monday, a deck tech on Wednesday, and then the gameplay of that Militia game on Saturday. On Friday. But yeah, so I think that's what should be coming up, and last week should have been the sealed episode 1. So I'm Hunter, and for
I'm
Morgan, signing out.